Okay.
Hi guys.
Hi.
So on that session we're going to be talking about HID devices. Do you know what those devices are? Okay, we're going to talk about this later. So we have performed many penetration tests for many years, and very often we have used social engineering to infect, companies, machines, and so on. And HID devices like rubber ducky, maybe you know rubber ducky. What is this? Okay, so we used devices like this, and now we have our own company for 1 year or something like this. So every presentation has to have a cat slide, so this is one.
Okay.
Who like it? Do you like it? Maybe someone? Because we have gifts. So, do you like it? Okay, so it's for you.
Później oddasz.
Okay, so what HID are? HID is human interface device. So those are devices that talk with computer, devices like keyboard, mouse, etc.
Joystick.
And why is it so important? Because, for example, when we perform penetration tests, we, for example, can dump some pen drives with malware or something like that. And
Yeah, so imagine that you are going to the restaurant where you eat every dinner when you are at work, and you found something like this behind the entrance of your company.
yeah, so you pick up this device and you want to check what is inside. For example, some nude photos from last party. And as you can see, for example, this is a social engineering scenario that there is very not known extension like photo or something like this, but on this pen drive there's also viewer for this kind of files, but of course the viewer is malware and you can infect
your computer.
Yeah, so nowadays most companies have blocked USB pen drives. Or actually awareness of people is also very high. For example, when someone sees some exe file, he probably doesn't execute it because this can be malware. But the fact is that many companies are not able to block USB devices, and also, okay, the company block devices like pen drives, but they doesn't block keyboard, because keyboard is very handy device. So
sometimes big companies just disable the mass storage USB driver, and when you plug USB key into your computer, the driver won't load, so the storage is not available to the user. So there is no way to infect, but the keyboard, for external keyboard, is a device that can't be blocked actually, because it's not.
Okay, so for example, those devices are what? Pen drive, of course. Yeah. But no, they are not pen drives. Those are keyboards, because this is rubber ducky. So rubber ducky is a device that looks like a mass storage device, but actually it's a keyboard. Keyboard programmed that, for example, execute WinR keys and PowerShell payload or something like this. you can buy it from Hack5. The name of the device is Rubber Ducky, but maybe someone use.
Rubber duck. Do you know this tool?
Yeah, and
Okay.
the bad things about Rubber Ducky are, for example, they are pretty expensive. The cost is somehow
$300 for 10 rubber
yeah,
ducks.
something like this. So it's quite expensive, and if you want to drop many of them inside the company, you have to pay a lot.
And they are not supporting heat. One of the most basically device of heat, the mouse. There is no way to emulate the mouse, and the mouse is sometimes also useful.
Yeah, so we thought that we can make our own devices, or actually use devices that are already on the market and are cheap.
Yeah.
For example,
So, make long story short, we will demonstrate how it's working, and then we will show you what more you can do than on regular similar devices. So, this is. Does someone know what it is? I can show it you here. It looks like this. This is a DigiSpark. It's Attini-based microcontroller. Attini is a real cheap microcontroller. DigiSpark produced the DigiKeys. You can buy DigiKey, for example, about I think $2 on AliExpress, so it's real cheap.
yeah, in Polish this 12 zloty or something like this.
Yeah. And now let's use this device in our platform.
You can program it with Arduino, because actually this is Arduino platform, and it has implemented a software USB.
I'm setting the module. Module is called Hit Keyboard.
Do you see the characters from the back?
Słucham? Okay. Jeszcze? Okay. So one more time. I will set the. Sorry, it's command, yeah. Dobra. Aha, bo tutaj jest taka akcja, dobra, sorry, nie zauważyłem. Że wy tu macie taką sytuację, już radzimy. O, okej. Dobra. So I'm setting the module. Let's use module that emulate Hit Keyboard just. Then I set the device, DigiSpark, because our platform supports many devices. Then I set some simple payload called Hello World. I think it's keyboard Hello World, yeah. Okay, and it's ready. So let's program the device, execute. Okay, so now it's programmed, and let's try it. I'm plugging it into my USB port, and we have to wait because there are some parameters that setting delay before payload start to be sent, because you know, operating system have to load drivers, initialize device, etc. So it's good to wait. So as you can see, Hello World is writing by the device, and that's how it's working, and you can use it. And the next thing, now we want to talk to you, because why we are talking about this software, we are searching for some contributors to support us in developing. We will show you what is more to done, but let's say something about how it's constructed. There are few components of this framework. First and the most important component is device. It's a module that bring support to many other devices. We support currently DigiSpark and ESP8266. If you're interested in IoT, I'm sure you know.
Do you know ESP 8?
8266.
Do you know this little device? Yeah, it's very popular in
Cheap.
IoT world. Yes, because this is microcontroller, very cheap microcontroller with Wi-Fi enabled. So you can buy it for $6 or something like that, and you have Wi-Fi
Yes.
device.
Next component. So what's more need to be said about DigiSpark? It's a real simple microcontroller, and you have only about 3 kilobytes for the payload, but it's enough if you construct it properly. And you may say that DigiSpark don't look like a pen drive, so when someone finds it, he even don't realize that he can put into USB, but you can simply solve this problem with something like casting resin and make some casing.
Yeah, actually, we also want to put on the GitHub the case for those devices ready to 3D printing.
Yes.
So it will be available soon.
So let's learn something. I will show you how you can use our platform. So first of all, when you execute our platform, you have some commands that will show you what our devices modules are supported. They are list modules, for example. As you can see, we have 3 modules for emulating mouse, for emulating keyboard, and for emulating mouse and keyboard on the same device. What's more can be listed is payloads. We have payload predefined for rubber ducky converting, for writing hello words, and for some PowerShell web exec. About it we will say more in the next few minutes. You can also list the devices supported by the platform currently, and as you can see, it's a DigiSpark and ESP USB. When you choose the module that you want to use, for example, let's use module mouse and keyboard. You can get some information about the module, how you can use it. You just type info, and you have some information about the selected module. Actions, it doesn't matter. The most important section of the documentation is info and description. Turns device into hit keyboard, mouse that send constant payload after plugin. You can set some parameters, for example, sleep time, if you want to wait some seconds before a payload starts to execute. You can also see what the payload is currently used. When you select device and put info, there will be more information because you have device active. So let's see what's the option of DigiSpark. Also some kind of description of the device, maybe some photo, how it's looking, pinout, etc. Okay. And parameters for DigiSpark is sleep also. DigiSpark has inside sleep. Printdef info is some diagnostic information about currently connected DigiSpark, like firmware version, etc., etc. Does the payload have to be repeated after end? So if you want to multiple execute some commands, you can use this option. And does the device have to sleep before start executing of a payload? You can customize those things. Next, and the last thing is a payload, and as I say, you can use predefined payload. For example, hello world, but you can also write payload by yourself. So how we can do it? We use command info action, and we write action name, which can be found in module documentation above. As you can see, DigiSpark support action like keyboard write, mouse click, mouse move, mouse scroll, program and sleep. So when we want to learn how we can use keyboard write, we can put info action keyboard write, And as you can see, there is a syntax how we can use this function in payload. And let's look at some example. Here is the example. As you can see, keyboard right, hello, and as a string first and second and next arguments are constant string that will be sent. Also you have some special keys. It's our key from the USB heat specification. And also you can make some combos because, for example, let's say that you are attacking Linux computer. Maybe it will be useful to you to send Ctrl R together and T. It will execute in my system console, and maybe you will, I don't know, run netcat with reverse shell for me, for yourself. So now, at the moment, we know how we can use keyboard right to do something. So let's try write our own payload. We are using module kit hit keyboard and mouse. So let's check also how we can use mouse action, mouse move. Mouse move is the simplest, simple. So let's write some payload. You can use command payload and just typing our payload. So key right, maybe left shift plus H. Okay. And let's use mouse. Mouse move maybe 20. Yeah. Okay. And let's program device. Yes, the device is programmed. As you can see, the pointer of the mouse will be moving, but we have to wait. Okay, that's it. So now you can build your own payload. But you know, there are lots of payload for rubber duck because it's a well-used tool. So if you don't want to convert the payloads from rubber duck, you can use just a simple module that we have written also here. You just use payload rubber duck payload. Yeah, rubber duck doesn't support mouse, so I can use it with this module. So let's change module hit keyboard just and use payload rubber duck. Let's see some information about this payload. As you can see, we have few parameters. Input file name, which is rubber duck script. Output file name, if we want to save converted file. Also, we can disable the program process of device, just use the converter. So maybe let's use it. Setting parameters is can be done with simple set command. We try to be as much similar to Metasploit console as possible. So set out file name, maybe on the desktop. File. Set input file name. I think I have file called duck.txt. Yeah, duck.txt. Let's not program the device. Set don't program true, and let's force saving the file. True. Execute. Execute. Device, DVSpark, yep. Execute. So now we have a converted file. Let's look how it was before the conversion. So cut duck.txt. It's a simply payload for the rubber duck, and after conversion in our framework, it's looking like that. So you can use any payload of rubber duck, but you don't have to pay $100. And yeah, we converted the metal. You know, the hardest part to introduce some new abilities to our software is to write uh, new device, because you have to patch firmware inside this module, you have to program the device, etc. But in community corner we will have some labs and I can show you how you can do it. And DigiSpark is simple device, it's cheap, but it has some disadvantages. So
we are talking about ESP 8266, for example. Here's demo board. And to use USB on ESP, you have to attach only one resistor, so it's pretty easy. And what is the benefit of using this device? Plug it.
a lot more space for the payload. And
Yeah, and also this device has Wi-Fi enabled, so
you want Windows console or Linux?
Windows.
Windows, okay.
So after plugging in, there is new network, because it behaves like access point. And now using using our platform, we can remotely execute payload, like moving mouse or keyboard. So for example,
Okay, poszło.
I just executed PowerShell
Yeah.
remotely with Wi-Fi. So
We can remotely control somebody's keyboard if you attach this device to his computer.
and for now, the implementation of the firmware in ESP, it's USB ESP, it's project from one guy that you can use web page to control keyboard and mouse. And in our platform, we added a very simple device that, using WebSockets, interface with USB ESP. So to add the simple device like this that has WebSockets, it's about maybe 20 lines of code or something like this. But in the future, maybe in a few days, we will write dedicated firmware for ESP.
So imagine the regular company, everybody uses external keyboards, you are getting in with new one keyboard and you know what you can put inside to control somebody's computer. Of course it will be ESP and you can remotely write some things on his computer. So yeah. So that's all that we done for the moment, but we have some plans to extend the platform, and my hope will be a lot of commits and support from you guys.
So who of you want to help us? Okay, here's device for you. Maybe someone else? Okay, so we have some more, so
Oh, dobra. What's the problem with ASP and sending data through the Wi-Fi? Currently, it's full connection of Wi-Fi, so we have to receive the signal from the ASP, but it has very low transmit power, so the range is not very big. But on ASP we experimentally implemented the firmware that sniff 802.11 packets, broadcast packets, and from the SSIDs unpack the payload. So in using this method you can transmit payload at very long distance, because you don't have to receive signal from ASP, but it's only one way. And that's a thing that needs to some stabilization and code review. Next thing is PCB for a normal usual case that can be also buy for at low cost, and the PCB is currently in the company that's make Gerber files, so it will be also available for you. Next thing is, of course, way back to get some information from hosts. So the keyboard can receive some information from system, and it's only 3 bits about those 3 LEDs. The keyboard can ask system to check the state of those 3 bits. So if payload execute on system and change state of those keys, of those LEDs, it can send some information into device. So you can also get information from the computers that even have disabled USB mass storage.
And this is interesting because we are working on Raspberry Pi, but the case is that Raspberry Pi is Linux-based device, and Linux has USB gadgets module, and using USB gadgets you can also emulate keyboard, mouse, even network and so on. And we are working on firmware for Linuxes. So also for Android devices. So for example, the attack can look like you go to the reception and, for example, ask the girl or the guy for powering, charging your phone, for example.
Okay, so the Raspberry Pi is very interesting. But look, it's not only about spoofing some device. We also have some experimental code for eavesdropping keystrokes from wireless keyboards, because not every wireless keyboard is properly made, and sometimes the data can be decrypted because of some mistakes, and we also want to integrate those modules into our platform to give you a tool that can help you in eavesdropping someone keyboards if it's removed. Not only, but it's required to implement the device module for Realtek software-defined radio. It's not as hard as it seems to be, but it must be done in our platform. But it's not only about receiving and eavesdropping keystrokes from removed keyboard. You can also spoof the key pressing. So if someone uses a vulnerable keyboard, with our platform you will be able to spoof some keystrokes. So it's a really powerful tool. And imagine the presentation pilot. It's a HIT device. And look, I'm giving you a presentation at the hacker conference. I have maybe plugged into my laptop receiver of this device, and someone can use my platform to spoof keystrokes and infect my computer, because at the moment I'm looking at Pawel and I don't see screen of my computer. So I think it's nice perspective to do some things, ugly things. And community corner, we are inviting you to community corner because we can look at the code and talk and
show you some more payloads and so on.
And it's commit time, so let's do the commit.
So where is the music? So the address of the repository is github.com/immunity-systems/hidute.
Let's show you the address. And here I can see.
So we hope that you will help us improving this.
That's the address of the platform. There is code, firmware, etc., etc. Also the documentation, because we made some documentation. Any questions?
I have a question. So you are given all the devices to people. So how can we be sure that there is no malware there?
You can be.
And actually, you can reprogram the firmware by yourself. So
The firmware is working. It's using Nucleo OS. It's working in that way that when you plug the device, you have few seconds to reprogram the device, and after those time you spend, the R firmware is executing. So first plug, 3 or 4 seconds, you have time to reprogram the device and clear anything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nie wiem, o co mi chodzi.
No, you just said that there are a few seconds for reprogramming it.
Yeah,
It's like you said that or the manufacturer said that?
we send that. You get one, yeah? Plug it into your computer, okay?
okay, so thank you, guys.
fine.
One more. Okay.
Thank you. Would it be possible to install not one device but many when you plug in this thing to the computer? Say you install a keyboard and you emulate a network device at the same time.
Yeah, it's possible, but our platform not providing this possibility currently, but it's not possible on this device because it's too small. You have only 3 kilobytes for the payload, so when you write something that emulates network card, I believe implementation of TCP IP is even so big that it can be programmed at this device, but ESP is okay, it can be done.
Right, thank you.
Tam jeszcze.
Is there a way to secure company from these kinds of USB attacks acting as keyboard or mouse?
First and the most primitive way of providing some security about these attacks is to disable the USB port. And the second, as we talked yesterday with some guys, will be nice if some operating system developers introduce something like, oh look, you just attached keyboard into USB port. Do I have to load the driver and initialize it? You know, but at the moment they are not doing it.
Yeah, yes, because it behaves like normal keyboard, so the operating system doesn't know if this is real keyboard, legit one, or emulated one.
For operating system, it's normal, usual keyboard, and it can be, yeah. And what's more? Yeah, I know. And there is also one method for securing maybe this attack is to measure the speed of inputting some text, because normal human, even the fastest writer, don't write as quick as this device. But it's security by obscurity, in my opinion.
One more question. You said that you are buying these devices on AliExpress, so I believe it's come from China. And we all know that everything could be on these devices. So the question is there any possibility to sandbox execution of any malware of the devices just to check if there is something?
To sandbox.
You can forward USB port to the virtual machine, for example.
So maybe in this way.
Yeah, but I would go with physical computer to test and, you know, check what is inside. But this device is very simple because this is 85 microcontroller, so you can buy it in Poland and make the board by yourself. Actually, we will upload schematic for PCB and schematic for the taller version that you can hide inside normal popular keyboard USB mass storage case, like rubber ducky, for example.
As you can see,
Thank
it's
you.
a voltage stabilizer and some simple components. Okay, thank you. And if you have more questions, we will be at the community corner.
Yeah, after lunch.
Yeah.
So enjoy.